UFC 306 is coming up next weekend, and today, guys, we are going to be breaking down the entire card with timestamps if you'd like to skip to any part of the video. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with many YouTube channels, and welcome back to another full card breakdown video. We're going to be talking about the fights as deep as we can get into them. I'm going to be giving my prediction, who I would like to see win the fight. We're going to take a look at betting odds. We're going to be breaking down these fights as much as possible, guys. Timestamps are there if you'd like to skip to any part of the video. Thank you so much for being here. Let's get right into it with the first fight, that being Raul Rosas Jr. versus Aoriqileng. And I apologize, I know, guys, I'm working on pronouncing the names correctly. Some names I'm just not really getting. So, Raul Rosas Jr., 19 years old, going on 20 years old, taking on a 31-year-old Aoriqileng. And I just might as well say the Mongolian murderer at this point. So, it's interesting to talk about Raul Rosas Jr. because we finally have a little bit more information about him. To break down his style, he is a BJJ fighter who's shown to be dangerous on the ground so far. So far, in saying that like he hasn't really taken on anybody of significance. The only time that he has was against Christian Rodriguez, and we all know how that went. It didn't look good. So, other than that, on the ground, like I said, he does a very, very good job with his transitions, does a great job getting to your back, and works really, really well. Like, he is dangerous when he gets to the ground. Now, something that we have seen from him is Raul Rosas Jr. has gassed in the past. He fights super, super heavy, and he's so early into his career, so young, still improving. We don't know if that's something that he has been working on or improving, but it is important to consider when you're breaking down a fight. He is and has been open to fading in the past. Now, another thing that I was that against Ricky Turquoise, something that really stood out to me is he really needs to work on doing more damage with his shots, because this is where I can see a lot of judges, and this is the problem, right? Because with the UFC judging, you never know what's going to happen. The UFC obviously wants Raul Rosas Jr. to win, so they might give him rounds. But if it's a close fight and you have a judge with a level head who isn't biased, because Raul Rosas Jr. focuses on just pure grappling, there are so many times, and especially against Ricky Turquoise, that he doesn't do any damage. Just hold, transition, try to submit. Zero damage. I also think that's something he needs to work on, okay? So he is an evolving fighter. He's still very, very good for only 19 years old, which is really crazy. And I spent a lot of time talking about Raul Rosas Jr., but he's taken on the Mongolian murderer, who is a well-rounded fighter who does his best work on the feet. When on the feet, he does have good pressure, good pace. He isn't afraid to slug it out. Sometimes he's a really inconsistent fighter, because sometimes he shows up and he's looking like really, really crisp. And then other times he just comes in and starts swinging. You never really know what to think when you're talking about the Mongolian murderer, and honestly, his record kind of shows it. He's 25-11. Sometimes he wins, sometimes he loses. I'll just take his last three, for example, like Ayman Zahabi. He didn't look good at all. He got finished really quick, and then he looked really good, really crisp with his strikes against Johnny Munoz Jr. A very good performance over there, but then you have him fight Daniel Marcos, and he got absolutely pieced up. So he's a very, very inconsistent fighter. That's a big issue with the Mongolian murderer, but sometimes he shows up. He has a really, really good performance, but the problem is he is susceptible to getting taken down. I think Raul Rosas Jr. is being given a favorable matchup by the UFC, and Tapology says he's a minus 675 favorite. We're going to be taking a look at OddsJam and what OddsJam has to say. But we know that they want to push this guy. We know that he's not exactly ready for people like Christian Rodriguez, and Christian Rodriguez is a really good fighter too. But he's been giving favorable matchups. They want him to win at the Sphere. They want him to win for, and I might be pronouncing this wrong. I got comments down below and I didn't remember. Noche UFC, is that how I say it? We want him to win for the event. And I think that, like I said, he's been given a favorable matchup here. I think he's going to out-grapple Aoriqileng, and I think that he is going to probably find a finish. My official pick is going to be Raul Rosas Jr. And honestly, guys, I'd like to see him win. I like seeing the hype train that is Raul Rosas Jr. He does a really good job getting the crowd going. I like when he wins in front of his people. Just a wholesome guy, and it seems to be getting quite a bit of star power right now, so it's really cool to see. Let's take a look at what OddsJam is saying, and you can see that Raul Rosas Jr. is sitting at minus 720 for average odds. That's really tough. I don't even think that's worth a parlay piece, because, again, we have seen Raul Rosas Jr. fade in the past a little bit, man. There's always a potential for an upset. Aoriqileng might come in and just stomp Raul Rosas Jr. because, again, I really worry about that Christian Rodriguez performance. But other than that, I think it's a favorable matchup for him. I think he's going to get the win here, but I would like to see him win as well. Now, guys, let's move on over to the next fight. It is a brand new fight on the card, and I'm very excited for it. It's a much better matchup. We have Edgar Chairez taking in Joshua Van. Joshua Van taking this fight on short notice. It's something to take into consideration. Joshua Van coming back after a big KO loss just over a month ago. That's something that we need to take into consideration when making our picks too. Is Joshua Van ready to get back into the cage? In this fight against Charles Johnson, I'll start with Joshua Van in as well. In this fight against Charles Johnson, he was having a fantastic performance. He was taking over as the fight went on, and he got caught. It's not to say he got caught by any lucky punch or any lucky shot or anything like that. Charles Johnson tried to knock him out. He knocked him out. It wasn't one of those lucky shots. It wasn't one of those like crazy come from behind victories. But point being, he was having a very, very solid performance. It's not like a fraud check or anything like that. He just got caught. So Joshua Van is an incredible boxer with what we seem to be have an insane chin that might have gotten cracked, but he's been known to have an insane chin. Really great pressure. He has really, really nice sneaky kicks and takedowns behind his shots. He'll walk forward. He'll pick you apart, make you think about where those shots are coming to. He does a really, really good job at diversifying where he is landing those shots. Edgar Chairez, on the other hand, is a decently well-rounded fighter who excels when striking. He has really nice hands. He has really nice low kicks. He can be taken down, and when he is taken down, he does attack off of his back, but that does seem to be the path to victory to beat Edgar Chairez, is to take him down. So you have two strikers, one that could open up the grappling game, that being Joshua Van, because again, everybody likes to talk about his boxing, his kickboxing. He does have very sneaky takedowns in his arsenal. He's still improving. He's almost 23 years old, very, very young. I'm still very high on this guy. My only issue with this is it too early for him to come back like we were talking about? He got knocked out not even 2 months ago. I think it will be 2 months by the time this fight happens. Man, like that's something that is worth staying away from in the betting side of things, right? Edgar Chairez is coming off of the Daniel Lacerda stuff, which was interesting, but he took some time off. He's back in. He's looking like a killer too, man. This is a really, really fun fight. It's a good fight. Assuming that Joshua Van is totally okay, ready to go, just got knocked out, his chin's okay, he's back to training, nothing happened, I think that Joshua Van will be able to kind of light up Edgar Chairez. I think that he's just a better striker, and I don't think that Edgar Chairez is going to try to take down Joshua Van. It's going to be primarily a striking match, and I believe Joshua Van is going to get the win. And I like watching both these guys fight, man. I don't really know who I would really want to win this fight, and we can see, this is a little bit of an issue. We still have the Kevin Bourquechop over here at the odds, so we don't even get to see what the betting odds are for Joshua Van versus Edgar Chairez at this moment, but hey, what can you do? Let's move on to the next fight. Now, guys, let's move on over to the next fight. Yeah, we have Yazmin Jauregui taking on Ketlen Souza, and I apologize for pronouncing Yazmin Jauregui's name incorrectly. I don't remember exactly the right pronunciation for it, but regardless, she is really, really hyped up in the division right now, and I gotta say, I'm not convinced that she's the real deal yet. She's a great fighter, or she's a pretty good fighter. She could be great. I'm just not convinced that she's the absolute killer that everyone is kind of making her out to be. And I don't even know if I said it, but she's taking on Ketlen Souza. Anyways, I'll start with Yazmin Jauregui. She is a fast boxer with good takedown defense to keep things standing. She is really, really good with her volume, really good with her combinations and counter-striking. But the problem is, this girl is, I wouldn't say it's necessarily a problem, but she is all volume, no power. She's also supposedly really, really good at wrestling, but we haven't really seen any of that, especially against any high level. But anyways, she's taking on Ketlen Souza. Opposite of wrestling, she is a good Muay Thai striker with decent power for the division. She really tries to hurt you when you're in there with their shots, and I think that's something to note when you're talking about the 115 division we have going on over here, because there isn't a lot of fighters that really, really try to hurt you. But anyways, she has a good clinch game. She can be taken down, and she suffers against leg kicks. Ketlen Souza, I was very high on to beat Marnik Man, because Marnik Man is, in my opinion, one of the worst fighters we've ever seen in the UFC. So, here's the problem with Ketlen Souza, okay? She let Marnik Man have moments. She let Marnik Man have some successful leg kicks. She let Marnik Man take her down. And if you're letting Marnik Man do this stuff to you, it's a big, big issue. I think if you let Marnik Man have moments against you, Yazmin Jauregui is absolutely going to have moments against you, okay? Like, that really, really put me off of Ketlen Souza. And I wasn't coming in saying, like, Ketlen Souza is a great fighter or anything, but I thought she was better than that, man. Like, I'm really, really left with a sour taste in my mouth after that performance. But on the other hand, Yazmin Jauregui, coming off of just 6 months ago against Sam Hughes, just outstruck her completely the entire time. Like, we have somebody coming off of a great performance versus somebody coming off of a performance that kind of changed my mind completely about her. Guys, I think that Yazmin Jauregui is going to light up Ketlen Souza. I think it's just going to be a striking match. Ketlen Souza might try to make it a little bit dirty, but I think Yazmin Jauregui will do a good job with her movement, keep the volume, nice counter striking. I think that she is just a better striker. And if she wants to utilize those leg kicks, man, Ketlen Souza won't check one of them. And I doubt she's going to keep improving. So that's my pick, Yazmin Jauregui, and I would like to see her win. I'd like to see her win in front of her people. I think that'd be pretty cool. But let's take a look at what the odds are saying over here, and there we go. You have Yazmin Jauregui sitting at a minus 459 average odds favorite over here, and I probably should move my face cam because it's covering the name. Sorry, I just realized that was the case, but yeah, that makes sense to me. I think she's going to win the fight, and honestly, I'd like to see her win the fight. Let's continue on, though, guys, over to the next fight, and this one should be a very, very good fight. I'm excited for this. We have Manuel Torres taking on Ignacio Baghamondes. This is a very, very good fight for the card, in my opinion. I'll start with Manuel Torres. He is a great striker with a decent ground game to back it up. He's really technical, good with his hands, has really good calf kicks, and he has pretty good elbows as well. Like, he has a nice, diverse set of tools that he can use. At times, though, Manuel Torres can be hittable with his chin up in the air, and his ground game is good, but it's not always perfect. But what has been perfect is the run that he's been on so far. Take a look at these wins that he's had. He's looked really, really good since he came into the UFC off the Contender Series, and he didn't beat like anybody like a world beater or anything like that, but I think he had some pretty good wins. Ignacio Baghamondes, on the other hand, is a very, very big striker with good volume, more volume than power. He has really nice movement, uses it to get out of the way of any strikes. He wants to keep you on the feet, and he has okay takedown defense in that sense, and he is also huge for the division. You can see that there's going to be a height difference over here, 6'3" versus 5'10", and shockingly not that big of a reach advantage, but Ignacio Baghamondes probably will be able to use that. Ignacio Baghamondes is bouncing back after his first loss to Ludwig Klein and got a nice win over Christos Giagos, and he just looked good, man. Got a really quick finish. I'm high on this guy. I think that he's going to do well, but I think that Manuel Torres is also going to do well. Like, I'm not convinced that either of them are going to be any sort of champion or top contender yet, but like, these guys are really, really tough. It's one of those fights that I imagine we're going to watch a good performance from both guys, and then we're going to sit back and it's like, man, it kind of sucks that one person had to lose that fight because both guys were looking good until the fight ended or it went to a decision. Doesn't really matter. I think this is one of the closer fights on the card. I don't know, man. The problem is, too, you got to think about, like, the judges will probably want Baghamondes to win. They're putting on this entire event. Yeah, like, I don't know, man. I don't know. That's a really, really tough fight. I'm kind of like 60-40 for Baghamondes on this one. Not confident whatsoever, but he just looked like he looked a little bit more impressive, in my opinion. This one's a little bit more of a gut feeling, but again, I won't go crazy about it. 60-40 for Ignacio Baghamondes. That is going to be my official pick. Let's take a look at what the odds are saying. And by the way, I would like to see, I like to see both these guys win, man. It sucks. Oh, okay. There you go. There you go. You have the average odds at plus 102. So that's kind of where I'm sitting too. I think it's a very close fight. Certainly not one to bet on, in my opinion. I think everybody should be staying away from this one, but it's going to be a good fight. We should sit back, relax, and enjoy this one. Now, let's continue on over to the last fight on the prelims. We have Irene Aldana taking on Norma Dumont. I'm not excited to see Irene Aldana back, to be honest. I don't remember if it's Irene or Irene. It doesn't really matter. After that pitiful performance against Amanda Nunes, she came back, got a win over Kel Rosa, but that's even like, I don't know, man. What do you really want to say about that? She's 36 years old, taking on somebody who's 33, Norma Dumont. Irene Aldana is a tall boxer. She has good combinations. She is powerful. She has accurate shots for the division. She does suffer against leg kicks, and she suffers against takedowns. And then you have Norma Dumont, a much more complete fighter than Irene Aldana, but she's not perfect, don't get me wrong. She's a very patient, technical striker who has been exposed before being taken down, but she does have offensive grappling, which is really strange because if you take her down, it seems like she's not a fish out of water, but that seems to be the route to victory against her. But if she's the one doing the takedowns, she seems to have a good ground game, which is very strange. So is she really that complete? I don't know. It's a little bit tough to break down Norma Dumont in that sense, but she is on a nice 4-fight win streak. But then again, the problem is, who are these opponents against? Not against really anybody of significance. I don't know, man. I think that Norma Dumont is a better fighter. There's not a lot to break down here. Irene Aldana could give her some problems with the hands, but Norma Dumont's probably just going to do what she does and get the win. I'm not going to lie, I'm not too excited for this fight, guys. I'm okay watching Norma Dumont. I think you guys hype her up a little bit too much, getting excited, like, just when the camera's to Norma Dumont's back. I'm like, are we, like, is that really worth watching? Like, I mean, it's nothing too special over here. But anyways, I'd like to see Norma Dumont win. She's better for the division to have up there. But let's take a look at the odds over here. The odds are a little bit closer, which is interesting. And sorry, I forgot about the camera over there. Plus 107, a little bit more of the same, closer to a pick'em. I think Norma Dumont's going to win, but certainly not going to bet on it. It's a weird fight. Now, guys, before we move on to the main card, let me stop this for just a second. If you guys are interested, because I talk a lot about betting on this channel, if you are interested in seeing where I'm putting my money, where my mouth is, either that or supporting the channel, you can check out the channel membership. It is very cheap compared to other channels. In the pinned comment, link down below in the description or right next to the subscribe button, you can see every single Thursday or Friday, I'll be uploading a community post and members only video saying exactly what I'm doing with my bets, what I am doing personally. Because again, guys, I talk a lot about this, so if you're interested in either combining my knowledge with your own research, or just supporting the channel, I would appreciate it. Very cheap, again, compared to other channels. Also, this tool that we've been using, OddsJam. If you guys would like to sign up to OddsJam, it's fantastic. Very, very quick with the odds. Has the best odds for each sports books. It has a bunch of tools that you can use if you are a serious sports bettor. If you want to sign up to OddsJam, you can visit my link in the pinned comment description down below. Use code Clenbat, and you can get a discount if you were to sign up, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Let's get into the main card. Starting off the main card is Ronaldo Rodriguez versus Ode Osbourne. The fight that everybody's pissed off about, but I'm sitting here like, okay, I'm excited for this fight. We have Ronaldo Rodriguez, who is a tough, slightly technical boxer who isn't afraid to make things dirty. So sometimes he shows up, sometimes he is a little bit sloppy. He can be taken down, but he does a good job with scrambles and his defense in general. He uses cardio as a weapon. He gets better as the fight goes on. He is a pretty dangerous fighter. The nickname Lazy Boy, Lazy Boy is a little bit strange every time I see that, but he's coming in 16-2. His first fight in the UFC against Dennis Bondar, he looked pretty good over there, but the problem is he's taking on Ode Osbourne, and this is a big jump up in competition in my opinion. I know that he's 12-7. I know, but I've always said that I think Ode Osbourne's better than people are giving him credit for. The only problem is we figured out that Ode Osbourne officially has a hole in his game. Other than that, though, like, he's a striker with really, really good power for the division. He has a hole in his game, like I said, and that hole is he can be taken down and he can be submitted. And that's been a little bit of the story of Ode Osbourne besides the Charles Johnson fight, which was, even that was a pretty close fight. He suffered against Azu Amabayev. He suffered against Jafel Filho, and he has been put through the ringer of opponents, man. Like, take a look at just his last 5 over here. He's fought really, really tough guys. I've always said, and I still stand on it, I think he's better than his 12-7 record. He's just been going through a little bit of a rough patch. But now he's fighting someone in Ronaldo Rodriguez that likely won't take him down. Like, we know that Ronaldo Rodriguez can fight on the ground, but he's definitely a fighter who wants to stay on the feet. We don't know he's going to show up, though. Is he going to show up and make things technical? Is he going to show up to be a little bit of a dirty boxer? We don't know. Regardless, I do think that Ode Osbourne's a better striker than Ronaldo Rodriguez. I think Ode Osbourne can, I don't know, does he have more power? Probably. Regardless, Ode Osbourne has a chip on his shoulder. Ode Osbourne needs to get a win here. He finally has a somewhat of a favorable matchup for him, and I would like to see him continue to hopefully get a better ground game, because that's a big hole to have in this division. But regardless, I think Ode Osbourne is going to be the superior striker. I think he's going to get the win here. And honestly, guys, I would really, really like to see Ode Osbourne get the win. I really like Ronaldo Rodriguez coming in with a fantastic win streak, and Ode Osbourne's in a must-win situation. Been watching him fight forever. I like Ode Osbourne. I would love nothing more than to see him win on this card over here. Let's take a look at what the odds are over on OddsJam. You have Ronaldo Rodriguez sitting at about a -166 favorite. That's understandable, man. Ode Osbourne's been on a little bit of a skid, but still, this one I could see being the parlay buster of the night. I could see a lot of people writing off Ode Osbourne. A lot of people have been doing that for a little while. I hope he gets the win, dude. And I'm going to officially pick him to get this win. All right, guys, let's keep going up the card. A fighter that I'm very, very excited to see, that being Daniel Zellhuber taking on Esteban Ribovics. And now this is a really, really good fight for the card, man. Really good fight. I'm excited to see both these guys back in, but I'm more excited to see Daniel Zellhuber. I'm interested because I think he has a ton of potential. Anyways, Daniel Zellhuber is a very creative striker who will throw pretty much anything at you. He's good at going to body. He's good at countering. And he isn't just a striker, though. He does have a skill set in all aspects of MMA, although what we do typically see from Daniel Zellhuber is primarily striking. He's also very, very big for the weight class, and in the past, he has struggled with striking defense a little bit. It looked a little bit lackluster, but he seems to be improving that with each fight. And there's one thing against Francisco Prado that kind of stood out to me. He struggled really, really bad with the pressure in the first round. I don't know what happened, because in the second and third, he just turned it on and put on a masterclass of striking. So is that something that is going to be a problem with Daniel Zellhuber moving forward? Is that something when somebody puts on like the pressure that Francisco Prado put on him, is that going to be an issue? But then again, you could look at that as a really good thing, because Daniel Zellhuber adjusted in the second and the third. Again, I don't know what happened, and he just put on a masterclass. He's 15-1. After the Trey Ogden loss, he's bounced back and gotten 3 really, really nice wins. At times, Daniel Zellhuber, though, too, I don't know, man, I'm a little bit worried about the pressure. I'm a little bit worried about sometimes with his fight IQ. But again, he's shown to have been improving every time that we see him. He's taking on Esteban Ribovics, which I don't have as much to say about him, because he's a striker with good power. He has decent grappling, and he always wants to come in and just go for the finish. That's Esteban Ribovics for you. He's a very fun fighter, very exciting to watch. He has also had his first loss coming into the UFC against Loic Razdabov, but then bounced back and got 2 really, really nice wins, coming off of an insane, clean KO. This is an interesting fight, because can Esteban put on the pace and the pressure to kind of get Daniel Zellhuber out of there in the first round? Because that's certainly a possibility. But unfortunately, I don't know why I said unfortunately, just like unfortunately for Esteban, I think that Daniel Zellhuber, like I said, has been improving every time that we see him. If it goes to a decision, the judges will definitely want him to win, even if it was close. I think the only path to victory for Esteban is to knock out Daniel Zellhuber, and I think that Daniel Zellhuber is a slightly better striker, so I am going to pick Daniel Zellhuber to get the win. And honestly, I'd like to see him win. I like when fighters have those moments in front of their people, and I've been excited to watch Daniel Zellhuber. He's been improving every single time that we see him. He's still very, very young. Lots of potential for growth. Let's see what OddsJam has to say about it. You can see, you can see that Daniel Zellhuber is sitting in a minus 225 favorite. Again, that makes sense. A lot of people are high on him. I'm high on him as well. I'm feeling good. I like Daniel Zellhuber. I'm going to pick him to win this fight. Now, guys, let's move on to the featured fight of the card. We have Brian T-City Ortega taking on Diego Lopez. A fight that we should have seen a very, very long time ago, and now we're seeing it. We have a fighter who may have had questions answered about him when he's fighting the top division, Diego Lopez, and Brian Ortega, a guy who proved that he's not done yet. Very, very interesting bout over here. So, we have Brian Ortega, an amazing grappler. We all know him. Amazing grappler who has good pressure, super tough, and a bigger heart than almost anybody in MMA. He does have underrated hands, but at the end of the day, he does get hit a lot. He's finally coming back after this big losing streak that he had over here. Not a big losing streak, but I mean, like, he got destroyed against Max Holloway. He got destroyed against Alexander Volkanovski. It was a bad performance against Yair Rodriguez, and then he rematched Yair Rodriguez just 6 months ago. The fight was at altitude, and that's something that I was wondering, because that could have played an effect into the poor performance. It was the first fight back from a layoff and from an injury, but he got completely outstruck in the first round. And because it's so strange, because of Yair's willingness to grapple, Ortega could get the fight to the ground and find a finish. He was tough as usual. Most people would have been knocked out by what Yair was throwing out, but it was a little bit of a strange performance. I'm not completely ready to say that Brian Ortega is back and super dangerous. Diego Lopez, on the other hand, he is a great all-round fighter who does seem to be making improvements every single time that we see him. He is very strong with his grappling, but his hands are no joke either. He is a very complete fighter. Now, I want to talk about his most recent performance, too, against Dan Ige, because... So, the problem is, Dan Ige also took this fight on 2 weeks' notice, and that doesn't just have an effect on Dan Ige. It has an effect on Diego Lopez as well. And, oh, did I say a few days? I meant to say a few hours. Dan Ige took this fight on a few hours' notice, which is crazy. So, it was a competitive fight. Its skill sets were shown pretty well everywhere, but Ige really took over in the last round. So I'm thinking, like, if this was a 5-rounder, Diego Lopez might have lost, and Diego Lopez fights with a big heavy pressure. So is his cardio not ready for 5 rounds? The problem is, the way that I was feeling coming out of this fight is that Diego Lopez's aura is just lost. I'm not feeling the hype of Diego Lopez anymore. I don't know if he's ready for a top contender. He could win against a top contender. He's still great. I'm just unsure about, like, the top of the division, because now we were talking about, especially since the Movsar Evloev fight, okay, this guy can hang with the top of the division, but what if that was just one of those performances? I don't know. He's looked so impressive, though, in these 3 fights. He's looked super impressive. Like, he's a fantastic fighter. Maybe this was just Dan Ige, the switch-ups on the fight. That happened to had an effect on Diego Lopez, too. So you see the issue here. I don't think that you should bet on this fight, honestly, because who's going to be better in the grappling? I would imagine that Diego Lopez is going to be stronger, but Brian Ortega, I would imagine, is a better pure grappler. Regardless, anybody could win. Diego Lopez, is he... I don't know. Like, Brian Ortega just finds a way to hit you when you're standing, and even he's not even that great of a striker. I think this fight, and I was, before when this fight was originally booked, I was all over Diego Lopez. I don't know. I was just left with a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth. I'm still a Diego Lopez fan, don't get me wrong. I want to see him win the fight, but I don't know. Maybe that Dan Ige fight showed something that, and he still had a good performance. That's the problem. I hope you guys understand what I'm saying here. I don't know who's going to win this fight. I think it's a 50-50 fight. My gut's telling me Brian Ortega. It's just telling me that. I don't know. For my official pick, I'm going to pick Brian Ortega, but I am not confident in that whatsoever. But for who I would like to see win the fight, guys, all over Diego Lopez. I love the hype train. He's super exciting. I'm not a fan of Brian Ortega either. So, Diego Lopez, I am all over. I hope he gets the win. Let's see what the odds are saying. So, we have Brian Ortega sitting at the underdog. Diego Lopez almost at a minus 200 favorite for the underdog. That's really against the underdog, excuse me. Very, very interesting. I would imagine that would bounce around. Guys, out of every fight on the card, I don't think this is one you should bet on. I really do believe that. Now, guys, let's move on over to the co-main event. We have everybody's favorite fighter, Alexa Grasso, taking on Valentina Bullet Shevchenko. You can see Tapology has the lines as near even, which is really interesting. So you have Alexa Grasso. You know what? I'll talk about their last fight really quick. And I mean, like, really quick, because I thought it could have just gone either way. That fight ended, and I was like, I don't know who won that. The rounds were close. Both girls had their moments. Like, I thought it was just a decent fight. So you have Alexa Grasso, who's a good volume striker with pretty good movement. She does a good job keeping things on the feet. She does have a ground game, and she can be good when the fight gets dirty. She does a good job of, like, she's losing the fight. She has no problem, like, charging in there, just trying to hurt you, trying to get points. But she's taking on Valentina Shevchenko, who is, we all know her at this point, she is an extremely, extremely complete fighter who excels at kickboxing and Muay Thai. She has literally everything. She's very dangerous when at range, dictating the pace. She's dangerous on the ground. She can, again, do everything. But the problem is, Valentina Shevchenko is going on 37 years old. I think it's time to retire. Valentina Shevchenko is clearly past her prime. I don't know if it's a motivation issue. I don't know if it's a miles on her body issue. But she found herself in the last fight against Alexa Grasso in just too many bad situations that I just know that Valentina Shevchenko a few years ago would have never found herself in. That's kind of how I'm feeling about this. And now, that fight, how long ago was it? That fight was a year ago, and now you're waiting another year, and I don't imagine that Valentina Shevchenko is going to show up in better shape. It's difficult for somebody who's going on 37 years old. If this fight happened like 5 years ago, I would say Valentina Shevchenko would do what she wants to Alexa Grasso, but Alexa Grasso's 31 years old. If it goes to a decision, the judges are absolutely going to be giving it to Alexa Grasso. And I just, like, I don't know, man. I think that Alexa is just going to come in and do a little bit more of what she did last time, but a little bit better. Valentina Shevchenko might find herself in a little bit more bad spots. Alexa Grasso might want the win more. She's going to come in. I think she's just going to throw more volume. I think she's going to land more. I think that Alexa Grasso is just going to win this fight. Valentina Shevchenko, unfortunately, is time to retire, in my opinion. I will be picking Alexa Grasso to win this fight. I'm not super confident in saying so. I'm kind of like sitting at 80-20 over here. I guess that's fairly confident, isn't it? I'm just saying it wouldn't shock me if Valentina got the job done. I think that Valentina is a better fighter. I just don't think at this point in her career she's going to beat Alexa Grasso. And for who I'd like to see win, yeah, I'm going to cheer for Alexa Grasso. She's pretty wholesome. Get a win in front of her people. Are they going to make that belt that they made last time? I don't recall. I don't know if they mentioned anything. Regardless, I'd like to see Alexa Grasso win. Let's take a look what the odds say. Oh, wow, okay. A little bit more of a pick 'em too. Might be something to consider betting on, in my opinion. I'm definitely going to be considering that one. I think that the situation's kind of set up for Alexa Grasso to win over here, and I hope she gets the job done. I will be picking her to win this fight. All right, guys, let's move on over to the main event. We have Sean O'Malley taking on Merab Dvalishvili. Very, very fun fight. I have been very back and forth in who I'm picking for this fight, and I think I officially have a decision, although I think it's a really close fight, okay? Sean O'Malley, tall, lengthy striker for the weight class. He's one of the best, honestly, one of the best strikers in all of MMA. I will say that, in MMA history. He's super fast, super powerful, has great movement, combinations, counter-striking, and he's just super accurate in general, man. He is so good at what he does. And what we figured out recently, he doesn't also slow down. He can keep up that pace, accuracy, and power for 5 rounds straight. Every one of his performances seem to be getting better and better. Marlon Vera, he just destroyed for 5 rounds. Absolutely destroyed. He's taking on Merab Dvalishvili. On the other hand, he is a wrestler. Merab Dvalishvili is a wrestler. A wrestler who weaponizes pace, pressure, and cardio. He just walks forward and looks to break you. That's the game plan for Merab. If the takedowns don't work, he's going to spam. He's going to make you defend. He's going to tire you out. And on the feet, Merab is definitely weaker for his part of the game, but his striking game has been improving slightly every single time that we see him, but for the most part, he just throws things to throw things and then just wants to, I'm stumbling over my words for some reason. He just throws things to throw things just to make you defend, make you move, wearing that cardio. Other than that, he's also extremely hittable. I think we've all seen that clip of Merab getting tagged by the same shot of, was it Marlon Moraes and Henry Cejudo? And he does get wobbled in his fights, okay? He does get wobbled in his fights. Here's the thing that I've been thinking about, okay? Merab just posted that video with that, like, horrible cut over his eyebrow. Sean O'Malley now has a target, and Merab now has staph infection somewhere around here. It's like, it's got to be staph. What else could that be? And I think that'll go against it because staph infection, you're going to have to go on antibiotics, and staph in general just destroys your cardio. It zaps all of your energy. So that plus antibiotics with a fighter who is really only good when he's weaponizing his pace, I don't think that's good. He's going to get a little bit more sloppy. He was always a little bit sloppy. He was always hittable, and Sean O'Malley is one of the most accurate strikers in MMA. And Sean O'Malley's going to keep hitting him and hitting him and hitting him. I think that Sean O'Malley will be able to dance around the cage and counter-strike Merab Dvalishvili as he runs in. I think the staph and antibiotics will definitely play an effect on this. I think the cut on Merab Dvalishvili, he will reopen. That's a fresh cut, and he's cutting it with his own scissors, so that thing definitely didn't heal properly. I think the fight's kind of set up for Sean O'Malley to win. Like I was talking about with Alexa Grasso, Raul Rosas Jr., we've seen this recently and more often. If it goes to the judges' scorecards, I don't care how close it was, Merab will have to have a Piotr Jan type performance to have the fight given to him. Otherwise, that's going to Sean O'Malley. The judges want him to win. They're going to give him the win. Merab needs to dominate in this fight. But yeah, and also Merab Dvalishvili, I didn't love his performance against Henry Cejudo, and that was his most recent performance because I was really, really worried from the beginning. He ate a lot of good shots. He was slow moving. It took him a little while to get going. You can't do that against O'Malley. And we've seen Merab rocked over and over again. Well, not over and over again, but you get the point. We've seen him rocked multiple times in his career. I think the fight's kind of set up for Sean O'Malley to get the win here. I've been very, very back and forth, and what really sold it to me is the staff, the cut, and I don't know, man. I think it's kind of being set up, like I said. They want Sean O'Malley to be the next star. The UFC needs a star. They're going to do everything they can to make him win over here. In saying that, though, Merab might come in and just do what Merab does. He could dunk Sean O'Malley in his butt because Sean O'Malley can be taken down, and Merab definitely can take him down. But I think Sean O'Malley's still improving. I think he's one of the best strikers in MMA. He's on his way to being the pound-for-pound number one. I'm going to pick Sean O'Malley for my official prediction. And honestly, guys, I really do like both guys. I think Merab's hilarious. I've always liked watching Merab fight. I was an OG Merab enjoyer, okay? I didn't have a channel back then, but I was an OG Merab enjoyer while everybody was saying, oh my god, I hate Merab, he spams takedowns. I loved watching him fight. The high pace, the Marlon Moraes fight was one of the best fights you will ever see. I like Merab. Sean O'Malley really grew on me. I was thinking about making a video on that. I respect Sean O'Malley as a guy. There's some things about him that I disagree with, of course. But I like that he's his own man. I like that he's focused on being successful. I like that he's real. He seems to be honest. I just watched a clip of him talking about how he's trying to talk about the pay-per-view draws. He knows most of his fans are going to be streaming it. I like that he's a seemingly honest guy, man. And I like when people succeed in making success for them. He doesn't have his manager. I don't know. I like that about him. So Sean O'Malley's growing on me, the point being, and I'm going to cheer for him to win. I hope he gets the win. I'm picking him to win. Let's see what the odds are. I know they've been bouncing around a little bit, and as of right now, at the time of recording this video, Sean O'Malley is sitting at a -112. Very, very close. Understandably so. It would make all the sense in the world if you didn't want to bet on this fight, but honestly, Sean is something that I am personally considering hitting myself. Let me know what you think about all the fights down below. Drop your picks. Do you think I'm crazy? Let me know. Thank you so much for being here, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to continue watching the channel, check out this recent video we did talking about Israel Adesanya and the Road Rage clip. Thank you so much for being here, guys. Take care.